Please work, please work, please work, please work, please work. Whew, luckily it does work. Okay, so last time that Blizzard patched the game, it broke all of the replay files. Literally every single game that I still wanted to cast was no longer available. This time around, apparently, I don't know what changed. They didn't release any patch notes, but at the very least, the replays are still functioning. What I've got for you today is the finals of this week's ESL Open Cup for the North American server. These two pro gamers, actually, they faced off against each other twice this week. Once in the Korean version of this tournament, and then, well, once apparently also in the North American one. Spotting right here in game number 1 of this best of 5 series. In the top left-hand corner of side Delta, we have Dark, and his opponent with the blue Terran SCVs. He goes by the name of ByuN's. I think it's probably one of those patches that they released to fix a bunch of bugs, but from what I've gathered, looking at the StarCraft 2 forums, as well as the StarCraft 2 subreddit and all that, they introduced a bunch of new ones. This is a very interesting bug that I've never heard of before, but apparently right now, if you are experiencing lag in the game, you should go to the settings, you should go to the social settings, and then disable the profanity filter. So if you're experiencing lag, what you need to do is, I don't know, that doesn't really make any sense to me whatsoever, but anyways, Blizzard has not really communicated, as far as I am aware at least, as to what changes are actually made to the game, but it was about a 266 or so megabyte patch this morning. So a very random patch, suddenly apparently, yeah, updating the game. I'm glad they didn't break the replays though, because that really would have messed up my day. Last time around that happened, I mean, it's only really a few weeks ago at this point, maybe a month. It really did mess up most of my week, because I had videos prepared that I still wanted to commentate, right? I wanted to cast a bunch of games, and then literally all of the games broke. Anyways, luckily for me, maybe luckily for you too, if you care about StarCraft. That's not the case this time around. Now, what are we doing? So, ByuN's is going to go for a command center first into double barracks inside of the main base. This gets scouted right here by Dark, who's gone for a pretty normal opener. Fair enough. Mining 100 gas, going straight into metabolic boost, or mining 104 gas, rather. Looks like we are going to go for a quick third hatchery as well in the back of this. This is one of those super greedy builds right here from ByuN's. So, this is command center into barracks. Basically means that you're not going to get, barracks, and a reactor as well. So, it basically means that you have no vision of the other side of the map at all. I wonder what ByuN's is saying here. It's like, get out of my main base, Mr. Overlord. You're gonna be in some trouble if you don't. Anyways, a very greedy start right here for ByuN's. He doesn't know what's happening on the other side, and he really doesn't have a lot of units. Even the first 4 Zerglings that Dark originally made to try and deal with a Reaper, yeah, they're gonna be a little bit of a nuisance. That SCV, okay, ends up going down. Don't know if all the Lings are gonna be able to escape. Yeah, I was gonna say, without metabolic boost, it is a little bit tricky. Dark actually just, making more Zerglings here. Okay, so we're starting off the series with a Link flood? Yeah, 22. I don't think it really makes a lot of sense to make 6 Links there, so I'm actually glad he's adding on some more. ByuN obviously will not see this coming. Luckily, I guess, for ByuN though, this is not the triple CC variant, right? So he's gone for double barracks into a factory and a starport. He could have been even greedier and added on a third command center. He's probably planning on doing that in a moment, right over here at the front. But right now, yeah, the floodgates have been opened. There's a lot more Zerglings coming on the back of this. One additional SCV goes down. ByuN, don't get baited out there. No, if you get all these Marines surrounded, you're gonna be in so much trouble. This is... Well, honestly, I was gonna say it's gonna be really painful. That was like what? A Marine and 6 Links? Or 6 SCVs rather going down? I actually don't think that was the worst of trades. Yeah, so 2 Marines in total and 7 SCVs. Considering the greed of this early game here for ByuN is actually fine. Yeah, I don't think that's really too weird, but right from the start, of course, this is definitely not your conventional game of StarCraft 2. The nice thing here for ByuN is that he saved all of those Marines, or at least the majority of them. So they will hit a power spike here in just a moment, and obviously they will be able to fly across the map inside of that medevac group. So 2 medevacs are just about to pop. Stimpack is going to finish up. We should have a full wall off here at the front. Yeah, engineering bay is going to make sure of that. No third command center or anything like that just yet. Obviously, the economy right here for ByuN is not necessarily as amazing as he would have liked it to be, but considering Dark made a whole lot of links there early on, obviously he slowed down his own eco too. Dark really needs to make a bunch of units, because these Marines are gonna hurt. He's actually supply blocked right now. He doesn't really have a ton of larvae either, so this could actually get really strange really fast. You normally need about 30 lings in order to deal with a 16 Marine drop. This is not a 16 Marine push, instead we have, well, I think about 17 or so in total with a few at home. Yeah, give or take. Oh, actually, must be 16 then, huh? Math. Unless I can't math. I don't even want to count, okay? I've made too many videos at this point in time. I know counting already is a little too much. Now, luckily right here for Dark, this is ByuN respecting his opponent. I think if ByuN would have gone straight towards the third base, he could have killed a whole load of queens. He assumed that Dark was gonna have the amount of lings available to shut all of this down. Now Dark does, but I think that was about a good 10, 15, maybe even 20 seconds where Zerg really didn't have the stuff necessary to deal with all of this. Well, right now, yeah, the lings are out in plentiful numbers. Lara's gonna come up, fourth hatchery is gonna come up. We have double research here in a moment. Baneling nest is building. Dark at this point is cruising. Now, what exactly do you do right now as ByuN? ByuN, still no third command center. So he's got triple barracks. We're going for, yeah, now finally we add on the third CC, but this is so incredibly late. Normally what we consider to be a late triple CC would be at like 4.5 minutes. Now we're at like 6:20 is when that structure started, so ByuN is really forced to deal some sort of damage with this attack. Creep spread though is looking solid. I love the double expand here from Dark. He's more than happy to cancel one of these bases if he needs to. So he expanded up to the 12 o'clock position, and then he also expanded right over here. One of them would be treated as a macro hatch. Right now, ByuN sees what he's playing against. He's gonna have a hard time, honestly, clearing out both of these hatcheries, and I don't know if he's gonna be able to do it, but it looks like this one will be given up on. Infestation pit coming up. No baneling speed here yet for Dark. Okay, he fires it up right at this point. +1 armor coming up too here for the Terran Marines. Honestly, even if Dark ends up losing the fourth base, I mean, that does really complicate the game quite a bit. But I still think he would be alright. Nah, you really don't want... Nah, I take it back. I think losing the fourth hatch would kind of suck, because it would really take the wind out of his sails. But it doesn't look like that will be the case, although if these Marines have any say in the matter, they will certainly give that a shot. Siege tanks over here, though, do end up getting cleaned up. There are a bunch of Banes available. So, yeah. You can micro against it. We can get cute about it. But ultimately, ByuN did not get the damage done that he was hoping for. Oh, no orbital yet either. ByuN, it's been done for a little bit. Look at that SCV, proud of its work. Oh, no. I mean, ByuN still has a supply lead, right? So that is really sweet. He's going to be flying the command center on down to the low ground, and apparently... yeah, we've been over-making SCVs here, which is kind of nice. But this is one of those Terran early games that doesn't really lead anywhere. Like, we kind of just get upgrades here, and we kind of do make a bunch of units, and we get a decently sized army and all that, but it doesn't really have a timing attack lined up to it. So, Dark at this point feeling really comfortable, I think. He's going up to a hive. Baneling speed is done as well. The creep spread is looking reasonably good. Sure, his worker count is nothing to write home about, and it's not like this is a super comfortable game here for the Zerg either, but I do always like playing these type of games. The most scary thing right here for ByuN, or I guess for Dark, technically speaking, the scariest thing that ByuN can do at this point in time is just do a really big attack with loads of units, because you do tend to get a lot more army here as Terran than you normally would have, so that's where that money has been going. But since it's on creep, and since we have Ling Bane that's decently well upgraded, and we have Baneling speed and a load of queens, this should be very manageable. Fight up north is not going to achieve that much. This hatchery, okay, will get cancelled. Hey, you know what? This is still looking like a pretty scary attack. Yeah, you know what? ByuN may have just figured out an angle here. These siege tanks are in really good positions. He does need to get rid of those Banelings, though. Those Banelings are scary. Somehow, some way, those Marines have slithered away from the surround of those Lings and Banes. Ultimately, that was about the best trade I think ByuN could have hoped for. Okay, we're gonna get a few more Zerglings there for free. Fair enough. Hello. We probably don't want to be giving him too many free units here, Dark. Dark really wanted to get that siege tank in the back, apparently, and he got it here eventually, but this is all getting very... Oh my god, this is all becoming... Oh, nice targeting. Very cost efficient here for the Terran. Look at this. Woo, 6.7k lost for the Zerg, as far as the minerals go, and then 3.1 for ByuN. That's actually insanely good. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and the light is Ultralisks. Adrenal Glands will be finishing in a moment. We have +3 for the Carapace upgrade. But honestly, this is looking like a bit of a sketchy game right now for Dark, because he just, yeah, he bled out so many units there unnecessarily. His eco is decent, but I would like to see him sit at a little bit more. Just like, you know, 10 more workers here would be a massive difference, but I don't think he's really comfortable doing that. Yeah. Micro Jackson on the hunt once again, playing a suboptimal build order, but really getting a lot of value. Ultimately, though, I'm afraid that this is just a numbers game, as these units will certainly get surrounded and they will get cleaned up. Alright, now Ultras are coming. Generally, you do not go for Ghosts until you have 4 command centers up and running. So these are Ultralisks that are going to be fully upgraded before the first Ghost hits the battlefield. We don't have a Ghost Academy yet. How many barracks are we on? Okay, we do have 8 racks, so that's interesting actually. Second factory coming up as well inside of the main base. 5th command center and all that is coming. So ultimately, ByuN is playing a big macro game. This is just one of those early games. And maybe you can disagree with me, it's fine, but I don't think this is a strong early game for Terran overall. It just feels like you're not really setting yourself up for success. Obviously, ByuN here is making it work. But I feel like the reason it's working is because Dark really did not play particularly well against it. I think if ByuN would have gone for something a little bit more optimal, he would have been able to steamroll ahead in this game. And instead, I mean, he's finding himself with a good amount of armies. He's got a good economy too. This is looking like a pretty close match at this point. But I'm a little afraid for when those Ultras hit. Although again, the cost inefficiency of the Zerg has really been painful here for Dark. Couple attempted banelings, trying their very best to roll in. You know what though, there is something to be said for playing suboptimal builds. Because the opponent will have a ton of practice playing against the quote-unquote most normal builds. That sometimes going for something that is a bit suboptimal can actually work out in your favor. Even though it's theoretically, like if StarCraft 2 was an Excel spreadsheet, theoretically it might be the worst approach. Realistically, since Dark is still a human, I think so anyways. I don't have proof of any of that, but I'm fairly sure Dark is still a human. There's a chance that he's not going to be able to react perfectly against this sort of thing, although, yeah, so far, nice little Ling drop over here. I was going to say a run by, but no, it's a Ling drop inside of the natural expansion. You know what? That just casually killed 11 SCVs. Actually kind of nuts. Ghost Academy is coming. Liberators are trying to tickle away at that Dropper Lord. Fair enough. I think the Ultras should get together and hug a couple of Terran units. Yeah, these Terran units look very huggable to me. Everybody needs love sometimes. These Widow Mines, those Marines, those Marauders. Since there's no Ghost out yet, and they're on the horizon right now, Liberators are obviously good against siege tanks, or against siege tanks. Well, they're pretty good against siege tanks too, for what it's worth, but they're good against Ultras as well. Hello, Dark, what are we doing? Okay, we're donating Ultralisk now. Aw, they're trying to hug a planetary. I feel like this is one of the more questionable games that I've seen Dark play, but he's still making it work. This is a bit of a head scratcher. GG is called though, and ultimately game number 1 in this series goes in favor of Dark. Game number 2. ByuN has decided to go for his good old faithful build order. He loves this double barracks. It's interesting to me how the double barracks opener seems to be ByuN's go-to. This seems to be his standard. But if you look at, for example, Maru and Klim, the 2 Terrans who currently I consider them to be the number 1 and 2 in the world, when it comes to playing Terran at the very least. They mix this in, but this is not their standard. They go for the 1-1-1 more frequently than not. They go for the one barracks into a factory, into a third commence. What are we doing here? Why are we dancing with you? I wonder what ByuN is saying here. Dark's dancing the Overlord. It was beautiful. Anyways, they will go for the 1-1-1 or the third command center, but usually Hellion Banshee or Hellion Liberator or anything along those lines instead. ByuN rarely seems to play that build. Yeah, he's a big fan of these weird command center first into whatever it was in the previous game. And then he also obviously loves this double barracks. Oh, ooh, getting a drone's real good. Yeah, despite the fact though that Dark ended up winning that last game, I don't actually think he played, particularly amazing. Like, he played well. Obviously, he played good. But those Ultras just sort of left by themselves there at the end of that match was a pretty good example. I mean, that was still a decent fight, I suppose. But the decisions, they didn't seem that strong to me. Let me put it like this. I feel like if you put ByuN with that exact same game against Serral, I think Serral would demolish it. Obviously, Dark has a little bit of that inconsistency, right? Plus, he's got a newborn at home now, so... Maybe the baby was crying, you know? That's as good a reason to play some sloppy StarCraft 2 as any. Interestingly enough, by the way, there was a news article going around featuring Serral. And Serral right now, in case you've missed the news, he's currently doing his mandatory military service over in South Korea. And apparently he's been enjoying shooting guns. He literally said that it's fun to shoot guns, which, is an interesting statement from Serral. And then apparently he also rented an office space right next to where he's stationed, so he can still practice. So I'm not exactly sure how to picture this, but I guess there's like a location where, you know, he's got like, I guess he's got a bunch of roommates and he's in the military, but they get some time off too. And he rented an office space close to where I guess he's stationed, and that's where he practices StarCraft right now? Which really is an interesting situation. I wonder actually how Serral's going to perform under that sort of pressure, because the whole setup is very different than what he's ever had, right? But some players really do function well under that sort of structure, because obviously the military, you know, is very structured for obvious reasons. I love this, by the way. Ooh, quick reaction right there by Dark. But these Marines and those Reapers waiting on the high ground, they do snatch a couple kills. Nothing all too crazy. I think most of us would have lost all our Zerglings there, which does make this follow-up defense for Dark just a bit more straightforward. Alright, so it is going to be a triple barracks on the back of this. Factory will be growing a nice little reactor on itself, and then we will see the big switcheroo onto the medevacs here in just a moment. Again, a delayed triple CC opener, by the way, here. Yeah, it's quite interesting. I wonder if ByuN is going to be playing these sort of builds the entire series long. Because it really does mean that you have to get something done with your army. But considering how sloppy Dark microed in the previous game, and considering how efficient ByuN was with his early game units, he still was pretty far behind. So I'm just, I don't know, these builds leave a sour taste in my mouth. I'm not a fan of it. I think overall it's decent. It's good to mix in every once in a while, but when your opponent knows what they're going up against, they can counter you really quite nicely. Dark apparently right now feeling pretty greedy too. Look at this. Dark going straight into double upgrades. We're 5.5 minutes into this game. We have no spore crawlers. We have no detection. We have no lair. So Dark is cruising here. He is feeling comfortable. I'm assuming the next 100 gas is gonna go to a lair and then eventually a baneling nest. Okay, we're gonna go baneling nest first. Fair enough. Because it really does feel exceptionally late. Maybe this is a bit too greedy right now for Dark, though. This is starting to make me feel a bit uncomfortable, because that is a big bulk of Marines. We are up to 9 queens. Yeah, and obviously 1-1 upgrades are nice and early, but they're nowhere even remotely close to being done. Yeah, this is a sketchy fight right here for the Zerg player. He's gonna bleed out so many units. Ultimately, though, he's got enough. As long as the queen injects are hit on the hatcheries. Yeah, and was that really a worthwhile fight? I mean, it's cost efficient. But if we look back inside of the Terran's base, there is still no third command center. That's weird. Triple hatchery, by the way, on the production tab right now. So Dark is Dark is cruising here. It's really the best way to describe it. He's got a lair coming up. As soon as he finishes up Baneling speed, I think he's gonna feel really good about himself. But he does need to respect this. I wonder if he's being too greedy. Can the queens hit that from that side? Oh yeah, they can. Interesting. Oh, careful now. Those slow Banelings are forcing the pickup. Yeah, and once more, ByuN gets deflected. They are, by the way, going to be updating... I was actually thinking that the new patch may have been the updated version of the maps or something. I'm not exactly sure if we even need a full-on patch for that. But from what I understand, the next iteration of this map is featuring lower HP on these rocks. So I think actually 2 of the rocks are going to be removed. Because right now, going through these rocks takes ages. I don't know exactly who that would be favoring in this situation, but they are playing the current version of the map. And this particular fight, despite the fact that it's taking place off creep, and despite the fact that there is no Baneling speed, is still going just fine here for Dark. So, like, where do we end up right now as Terran? This is effectively a 2-base all-in. And I thought we decided that 2-base all-ins against Zerg were mediocre, to say the least. Since, like, I think we decided that in about 2012. Literally more than a decade ago. Oh, Dark. Yeah, I think Dark is feeling really good here. I think ByuN is experimenting. But I don't think this is a very good experiment. So, Baneling speed is just about to finish. Sure, the upgrade is not as powerful as it once used to be. Banelings no longer get additional HP from this research, but just the fact that they're gonna be quicker, and just because of ByuN always needing to push onto creep, I think Dark is gonna feel really good about all of this. Yeah. So there's the infestation pit coming up again. He's once more defending one of his 2 fourth bases. That's effectively what it is, right? He's gone for a bunch of hatcheries all at the same time. But really, he's happy to give up one of the 2 if he needs to. +2/+2. Fired up nice and early. I think Dark actually should just go into a few infestors. Don't even bother going Hive. Because this is clearly not a Terran. Now we go for a third Kijkwijzer. I mean, this is incredibly late. This is clearly not a Terran who really cares about playing a long macro game. Or at least I'm not getting that vibe at all. So if you can hold whatever attack he's got coming up, you should be okay. The problem here for ByuN, right? Even if he kills this base and the one in the top left, I still don't like his position. And isn't that about the most damage he can deal? Well, he's getting it done right now. Big Zergling counterattack. Maybe he can make this work. I want to be a believer, ByuN. I feel like so far in this entire video, I've been trash talking your strategy the entire time. The Lings don't care about Liberators, man. Yeah, they really don't. 2-2 starts up here for the Terran, so ByuN believes that he's got a lot of time left in his game. But look, he got both of those hatcheries killed, and he's still behind. Isn't that... Isn't that indicative, indicative of, yeah. Anyways. Hive is going to finish up momentarily here for Dark. I think he'll be happy to go into Ultras again, too. Goes for a base in the middle. I think that one makes a lot more sense, actually, than those far away ones. You will be able to kill those rocks eventually. I wouldn't have minded seeing a counterattack, actually, from Dark, but I think he's happy to fight, as long as the fight takes place on creep. I mean, if ByuN can force the council on this base, too, yeah, there is a chance. Yeah. Vipers are coming, by the way. Blinding Cloud on siege tanks, parasitic bombs, abductions. All of it is amazing. Oh. Adrenal glands fired up. These are 2-2 links against 1-1 bio, which normally doesn't happen. Normally, Terran should be matching those upgrades. None of these traits are cost efficient here for Dark, but again, he's buying a bunch of time, right? So he's going into Adrenal. He's going into Vipers this time around. We're going into Ultralisks. This is... I'm getting some very significant deja vu from literally the previous game. we're basically rinsing and repeating. And there are ways for Terran to win here. And supply-wise, he's still fine, but Takes a long while, of course, for Zerg, though, to tech all the way up to those ultimate units. And as good as the Ghost is, if you don't have it, you're in so much trouble. Those Vipers don't really get countered right now. I'm assuming we're gonna see Chitinous plating as soon as he feels comfortable getting it. Ah, that's still a scary amount of bio, though. I never want to count ByuN out. Because the man is known to work his magic when it comes to microing these units. And Dark did invest a lot of money into things that aren't super useful just yet. Good Widow Mine hit. Okay. No micro on that medevac, though. I was gonna say, we do have a lot more Marines and Marauders. That hatchery is gonna go down. Marauders actually stand in the front, finish off the structure. Base in the middle, scouted by Jimmy. These are some weird games we're looking at. I'm just a little afraid that it's gonna end in the exact same way as the previous one did. Where ultimately we're gonna get a bunch of upgraded Ultras and there's no counter. Then again, though, this is also a point in the game where Dark is running out of cash. So his main, his natural, and his third are running low. This fourth is becoming quite desperate, and he's now lost, like what, 5 fourth bases? Parasitic bombs once again. Yeah, throwing around those damage to the air units, but there's a lot of units bleeding out here on the side of the Zerg. Look at the cost efficiency here of the Terran army. Chitinous plating finished. Infestors are coming. An Ultralisk is also coming. I think literally one Ultralisk is actually really good here. Okay. Fungals? Fungals have a lot of potential. Ooh, that Widow Mine betraying one of the Marauders. Dark's giving up on the base. Oh my god. So in the meantime, the main command center of ByuN has flown on over towards the 4th base location. I think ByuN is actually doing it. This is a weird game. This is a weird game. I don't think this is theoretically supposed to work. But realistically speaking, ByuN is busy pulling a rabbit out of a hat. He's been dragging so many of these Zerg fights off creep. Only ByuN does this sort of stuff. You know what? He's making it work against one of the world's greatest Zergs. With Saro in the military, Dark may actually be the best Zerg player on the planet right now. Like, what's this though? Why did we didn't even try. We just let those units deal maximum damage to one another. One thing to note is that for the American version of the ESL Open Cup, this is the finals, of course. The Koreans do have to play at some pretty ungodly hours. So, this is at the end of a pretty long tournament day. And I can imagine that I don't really know exactly what time the series was played at, but I can imagine it's not the best time for them to be playing StarCraft, you know? Like, this is not the best hour of the day for them to be competing against one another, which is why I think we get some... We're just not... Like, I guess everything's been parabomb, so yeah, it's hard to save this anyways, but there you go. You can at least try and split a little bit. Some of the units may just survive. So, we're 15 minutes into the game, and a Ghost Academy is finally coming up. It's funny, because pretty much all of the Terran builds that we regularly see played are all based around rushing out economy and the Ghost Academy. Right? Like, we're basically seeing Terrans try to make as much eco as possible while trying to stay alive, try to match that Zerg economy, and then get those ghosts going. Because as soon as the ghosts are done, life is much better. This is ByuN playing a polar opposite style. And it's actually working. Well, Ultras are dealing a lot of damage, but against that much bio... Oh, wow. Look at that guy. Interesting. Against that much bio, it is really quite difficult here for these Ultras to do much. Terran did not, by the way... No, he prioritized +3 armor. ByuN. We should really be prioritizing attack here. It's a classic ByuN move, though. Be unbelievable, man. ByuN's sometimes does these builds that I just can't wrap my head around. Okay. I think he's just done it. Yeah, there's just not enough Zerg remaining. Dark is simply dead broke. Even though ByuN refused to make any command centers until like, well, super late. I don't even want to give you a number because it was ridiculously late. He's gotten the wrong upgrade here too for his infantry units. The ghosts aren't even out yet. Do we have any ghosts? Oh, we do have 4 of them. Okay. He's microing his butt off against 1 Ultra, by the way, that is being transfused by the Queens. Now the ghosts show up after all of those big targets disappear. They EMP the Queens. Do we have 1 more fungal in us? I don't think it really matters, to be honest, because right now, after everything is said and done, ByuN is going into that mass command center style. I don't think he's ever gone over like 60 workers this game, but he's still building command centers. What a scrappy match. Ay, ay, ay. GG. ByuN with one of the weirdest build orders I've ever seen ends up getting a point on the board. Which is especially surprising because in game number 1 he got countered pretty hard and it was essentially the same strategy. You know what, ByuN? Now I want to see it again. Yeah. I will try and go into this particular game with an open mind, as we have a regular barracks opener, actually. Okay, interesting. I thought we were gonna go for maybe a command center first or something like that again, but apparently not quite the case. So, I think the reason why that strategy feels so weird to me is because in all these years of StarCraft, we've kind of figured out the go-to standard, right? And what ByuN is doing in this series so far is very far from what we normally consider to be the standard. He's focusing on poorly upgraded units instead of economy and upgrades, which, interesting. Maybe economy and tech is actually a better way to put it. I mean, we occasionally see Zerg players do that too, right? Like Mika comes to mind. Bly also likes to mix in some weird builds where they go for like... Mika, for example, has been playing like a 2-base Hydra build for many, many years, and he wins games against the best players on the planet. We don't consider a 2-base Hydra to be a good build. And yet, those builds also confuse me much in the same way as ByuN has just been playing so far in the series. Yet, they do seem to work from time to time. Okay. So let's see. This is looking like a much more conventional strategy right here from ByuN. I'm assuming we're going to see a 3rd command center really early this time. It is a single gas opener. And with a single gas, usually you will go barracks into factory. I mean, this is Reaper into double marine, which is a bit weird. Normally you go into a reactor instead and then, well, I guess eventually oh, well, that's what we did. Okay, he decided to cancel the marine and go into a reactor. Thank you for making me look smart, ByuN. Appreciate that. One thing to also note, I guess, is that these two have played against each other so many times. Like I said, they literally faced off against each other earlier this week in another tournament finals. These guys play against each other so frequently that throwing a bunch of curveballs, or exclusively throwing curveballs, may just be the best play. This time around, though, this is the strategy that we see all of the time from the likes of Clem and Maru. This time around, we have a very normal build. We don't have a starport yet, which is a bit weird. Maybe it's going to be a 2nd barracks then instead, and he's going to go into Stimpack or something like it. We do kind of need to build something here, ByuN. Don't we? Yeah, he's just going to go Stimpack straight up. Interesting. So still a very greedy variant of this particular style, because if you now go up against like a roach-based attack, normally Stimpack would be okay at this particular timing, but there won't really be that many units available if this would be like a roach attack at around minute 5. There wouldn't really be a lot of units available to counter that sort of push. But normally this build from Terran is considered to be safe against roach aggression, so I guess Zergs will not really be going for a lot of roach aggression against it, as we do have the Hellions dancing around in the natural expansion, looking for a cheeky little drone barbecue. Yep. That is something we saw a lot in the early days of StarCraft. We would see it kill dozens of workers. This was 2 drones for 2 Hellions and a Reaper. That is a fantastic beginning to this particular match here for Dark. I sometimes see comments actually for people asking like, hey, why don't we just see people commit really deep with Hellions like that? Well, this is what happens. Double engineering bay on the back of this too. Okay. So we have like a complete 180 here from ByuN. Super greedy follow-up. The thing is, this early Stimpack now doesn't really do you much good. Because there's no Metavex available or anything like that, and you're not really set up for any sort of attack just yet. So I'm assuming we're going to be going into combat shields pretty quickly as well. We'll probably queue it right after the Stimpack. And then do a big attack as soon as Stimpack and combat shields and probably 1-1 upgrades are all done. We do really need to get those upgrades going though, ByuN. There we go. And then I'm assuming, yep, combat shields immediately. Okay. Switcheroo on the starport and the reactor over here, and then he's just gonna make a ton of units. Now this is a super passive approach. Compared to the previous games, ByuN apparently, is playing this very differently. Because he's not gonna be able to do anything to the Zerg here for the foreseeable future. That's why usually Hellion Banshee is really nice. Into maybe some marine drops or something like that, right? But now Dark is just gonna be sitting here and he gets to do whatever he pleases. So apparently what he pleases right now is double evolution chamber upgrades before anything else. We do have a lair. We should see bailing speed. There it is. Overlord hiding in the middle of this pillar. And it is indeed going to be out of sight right there for the Terran bio units. Okay. This base is wide open though. And obviously this is still going to be a pretty comfortable game here as well for Dark. Even though he hasn't really gotten himself in a fantastic position just yet, he's played against this sort of stuff probably tens of thousands of times. I was gonna say thousands of times, but that's not quite accurate. He's played against this sort of thing many, many times. He's probably played thousands of tournament games with this exact same build order here from the Terran, or at least the, you know, broad look down at the strategy that Terran is playing. I think he's played against that exact same strategy many, many times. Okay. So, who's gonna be putting his foot on the gas first? We have a load of Marines, we have a bunch of Metavex. Likewise though, yeah, we can also do some crazy bailing roll-bys. There's a cute little wall off here with supply depots, which is nice. ByuN trying to see if he can get some damage done so far, not really finding an angle, and he's gonna lose a Metavex, it looks like. Ooh, somehow he didn't. Interesting. 1-1 upgrades though, nice and early here for Dark. I'm assuming we're gonna go straight 2-2 as well, into an infestation pit. Bailings though, not really committing to that mineral line just yet, but honestly, Dark can just send everything that he's got towards the other side of the map. He's got a scary army. There's not really that many Terran units available currently to defend, and despite this nice wall off, yeah. Doesn't really matter when all of the Terran units that are supposed to defend are either the other side of the map or inside of the main base. Just like that, 23 SCVs end up going down. Dark immediately exploiting a weakness right there in ByuN's army, and well, he finds himself in a really wonderful position right now. Interestingly enough, this is not a quick hive. Most of the time, Zerg players at this level like to go really quick hive, usually even before 2-2 in the current meta. But this is kind of looking to me as an old school strategy, right? So we have a 2-2 start into a Hydralisk den. I'm assuming we're gonna see, did we just lose all the Marines over here too? Yeah. 2 empty Metavex go home. Okay. Well, ByuN's best chances at this point are probably going to be to attack as soon as 2-2 finishes with a massive army. Or maybe split up the army into multiple segments and attack the opponent as soon as their upgrades are done. But 2-2 here is gonna be done significantly before the Zerg. I think you have about maybe a 30 to 45-ish second timing window where the Terran units will be significantly more powerful. Drilling claws on the back of this as well here from ByuN. There's barracks 6, 7, and 8. Usually they get accompanied with a Ghost Academy. Yeah, apparently we're not doing a Ghost Academy. So why would you not be making ghosts? Or at least not rushing them out? I'm trying to figure out what ByuN's logic is in all of these games so far. He's clearly not thinking about making ghosts, but he can't really know unless he's been scanning repeatedly. But no, he's never even really seen the main base. He doesn't know that this is not quick ultras or quick lurkers or quick vipers or quick infestors or quick brute lords even, although that would be very strange. Ghosts are really good against everything. Everything Zerg. Again, late pickup right there from ByuN. This is the one unit composition though where you don't really need to rush out ghosts. But the thing is, ByuN didn't really know that until just now. Well, his star senses are tingling. 3-3 fires up immediately. It looks like we're not going to try and hit the Zerg in the face right when 2-2 was done. Which is a little unfortunate. Infestation pit late as well though for Dark, because he's been making a load of units just to try and stay alive. Matter of fact, drop moving on over towards the right side of the map. Okay. "15 Marines are being made." Did he? He put reactors on it. What in the world? So normally, barracks 6, 7, and 8, they all get tech labs. They get tech labs so you can make ghosts and marauders, because those are usually units you want. Instead, ByuN is pumping out like 24 Marines at a time. Interesting. That is actually very interesting. I don't know if it's good. Oh my god. Very late again on the split. ByuN, wake up. Loses a bunch of Marines unnecessarily. Suddenly, the Hydraling Bane army is looking incredibly scary. There's no rigidity in this army, and I feel like most of the Marines have gone down before they ever really got damage done. Overstim as well on these Marines here. There is a planetary on the right, or on the left side rather than the one over here up north, which is nice and all. Contamination even being used right here by Dark to try and reduce the amount of reinforcements. But I think Dark just found a perfect opportunity. There are a bunch of units on the other side of the map. Drones will be able to evacuate though. And I think reinforcing, yeah, Banes and Lynx should be able to clean all of this up. Medevacs misrallied here by the Terran player. My god. When it rains, it pours, huh? I'm not sure what the plan would have been, though, from ByuN if he would have gone up against lurkers much earlier. Because he's seen Hydras, and usually when there's smoke, there's fire, right? When there's Hydras, there's lurkers. These are late lurkers. And he's got to push this back. I'm literally sitting here scratching my head. Not the first time in this series. GG. Ah, of course. Our next game is going to take place on Post-Youth. The strangest of strange maps. I'm gonna keep my camera on ByuN. I think Dark is playing very normal. He hasn't really done anything crazy so far. Usually I look at what Dark is up to, because he's the one that usually throws the curveballs, but I think in this particular series, he's very happy just having his opponent do whatever. I can't believe ByuN is refusing to make Ghost. Why did we... I've had like 3 macro games right now, right? Like I think I've casted 3 macro games in a row right now, where we've seen maybe 8 ghosts in total. I think 8 ghosts is me being generous. Okay, it's gonna be a command center first here, this time around for ByuN. A little bit greedy, but on Post-Youth, you can get away with it relatively easily. Same thing happening right here for Dark on the other end of the map. Fair enough. Should be a gas geyser and then also a spawning pool momentarily. Dark, really? Okay, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be keeping my camera on. No, we are gonna be going. Okay, okay. I thought for a second he wanted to go triple hedge before pool. He's scouting for proxies right now. Yeah, he's scouting for proxies. He's assuming here that ByuN is gonna be an aggressive man once more, who's happy to build barracks on the other side, but that's not quite the case. I thought for a second he wanted to go triple hedge. Because that would be a little bit funky, right? Especially when you know that ByuN is certainly not somebody who's afraid to, well, either build 2 barracks at home or to build them on the opponent's side of the map. It will still be a very quick third hatchery, though, all things considered. This is still triple hatch before any sort of gas. Speaking of gases, ByuN took both of his. Why did we not... Oh, ByuN, what are we... Why would you build the barracks over there? Dark is also confused. He sees it right now. Factory coming up too in that spot. What? In case you're wondering what the advantages are, there's really none. I think what happened here is that ByuN was just a little late on sending the SCV. So he decided to just grab one of the SCVs and put it right next to the mineral line instead. And that he make the little flight of shame right over there, just to not be delayed on the factory and everything else that followed after this, but okay. It's ByuN. Don't question his wisdom all too much, okay? We don't question the wisdom of the elder. Just accept whatever they have to say, and if you don't like it, tough luck. We're still entirely gasless right here for Dark. Dark! We're 3 minutes into the game. Your opponent is making a starport. Dark's still just making queens and drones. So there's this upgrade that allows your Zerglings to run really fast. It's really good. Okay. Finally, a drone will go to the gas geyser, and yeah, we have to go into a roach war, and I think this is the only thing that makes sense. On this map, though, if you get like 4 roaches over here and maybe 4 roaches over there, you can kind of cover all your bases pretty easily. There's really only 2 entrances into your main and your natural, so it's usually quite defendable. But apparently Dark has had enough as well of playing pretty normal games here against the opponent. Goes for a super quick 4th. Look at him. ByuN may honestly be making the assumption that is the 3rd base. That this is like a 2-base Muta opener into a quick 3rd over at the Golden Minerals, because this is so strange. He goes into a... Yeah, he goes into a pretty quick NG bay. I saw somebody, by the way, in the comment section say that I say energy weird, because they thought I meant energy bay. Whenever I say NG bay, I mean engineering bay, because that's the name of the structure. Apparently, some people assume that I mean, look, my English is not perfect. I get that, but if I would have been saying energy bay, this isn't. By the way, if you notice me mispronouncing words that I use very frequently, feel free to let me know down below in the comment section. I know there's some people that don't want to out of politeness or whatever, but I appreciate a little bit of Dutch directness, okay? You can definitely let me know if you notice me mispronouncing words frequently or things that I don't know, trip up whenever I speak English, which I do, well, pretty much all of the time on this channel. Komt niet vaak voor, zeg maar, dat ik Nederlands ga praten in één keer, weet je wel? Anyways. Yeah, okay, most of you don't speak Dutch, which seems like a reasonable decision to speak English instead. We have a cloak benchy coming up and no detection. I mean, spore crawlers are building. Lair is coming up. Roach is in the meantime on the other side of the map. Lift the depot! Okay, he does lift the depot, thank God. Roaches instead are going to be making their way back home. Yeah, it's a little bit awkward, but rather than just all dying, we're going to just have a few of you die. Fair. Dark's economy is still tremendous, though, at this particular point in the game. Yeah, he made a bunch of roaches, but honestly, it did not slow down his eco very much at all. Obviously, it did a little bit. He lost a bunch of drones, too. 8 workers lost to that one benchy. Clearly not expecting the cloak benchy whatsoever. And still, Dark is in a pretty comfortable position. Supply block right now for ByuN. He's going to be finishing up those depots, though, eventually. Okay, so Stimpack is finished. Combat Shields is going to be finishing up in about a minute and a half. Maybe a little less. And then +1 ground weapons too. +1 infantry weapons, that is. I don't really like how none of this is lined up. We're making Marines out of barracks without add-ons. Even though we've got 500 gas in the bank. Again, another supply block right here for ByuN. We should really be making some reactors here. Yeah. Bit of an ugly series so far, eh? Couple of ByuN's will connect right there with the siege tank. Although not enough. Even though I think the Ravagers were in range. This is one way, though, to open up supply, of course. You just end up losing a bunch of your units. Banshee's at the bottom of the map, distracting all of the queens. I wonder if those queens should have been at the front. Dark decides to give up on the 4th base. But that's exactly what it is. It's a 4th base against 2-base Terran. So again, we're playing this uncomfortable style here. Where ultimately, yeah, you kill the base, you shut down the Zerg army, but you're still behind. Banshee's going back around, by the way. They're gonna try and join back in with the main army. Spore Crawler at the front, which is kind of cute. Wouldn't mind seeing a transfusion on it, but I guess we don't really need to. Still no reactors. Still 750 gas. Still idle SCVs. Still the occasional supply blocks. I think ByuN is gonna have to really get some work done over here. I think ByuN may be half asleep as he was playing this series. He needs to get something done here and needs to get it done quickly. Problem is, it's really difficult to push into Roach Ravager like this. This is 1-1 upgrades as well on the Roach Ravager. Couple ByuN's there. End up getting some good connections. Dark is an upgrade ahead to when playing a unit composition that is higher in tech. ByuN needs to kill this 3rd. If he doesn't kill the 3rd, I think he's in a world of trouble. But killing the 3rd is going to be really tough. New hatchery coming up here at the bottom too. So even if Dark does end up losing, he can just transfer those drones on down to the bottom. Still no 3rd command center. Still idle SCVs in the main base. Roaches and Ravagers going around the side as well, forcing themselves through that choke point. Bunch of ByuN's will connect left, right, and center with the tanks at the front too. I think Dark is reading this game wonderfully right now. He's by no means playing the cleanest series himself either, but he realizes and he recognizes that all he needs to do is just shut down this Terran attack, because there's not a lot of longevity. Now, he certainly did overextend though. He did not need to go that deep off creep. Fires up the 2-2 research here. Makes a couple drones. Those are brave. Really don't think we need to make any drones here, but fair enough. Obviously, Dark, though, has game number 2 of this series in the back of his head. Somehow, some way, ByuN managed to make this strange build order work. Siege tank. No longer around. A new one, though, has joined the fray. Okay, that siege tank is not going to be around for much longer. There's a bit of a larva. Yeah, there's a bit of a larva problem right here for Dark. ByuN, by the way, still mining a gajillion gas. Mining a gajillion gas. We've got a load of gas in the bank, but we're gonna pull the boys. So everything... No, we're actually just flying the command center on down to the golden minerals? I thought we were gonna put all of our eggs in one basket and just call it a day. I thought we were gonna try and win with one big attack, but that's not what we're doing. He's rebuilding his economy. Oh my god, these mineral... They're taking 7 years to be returned to the main. Okay. He's lending mules as well at golden minerals. Lending mules at golden minerals is actually just a straight up waste. They bring back just as much as they do with regular mineral fields. Once upon a time, they used to bring more minerals back as well than a regular one, but you may as well drop them on the blue mineral fields because it's just more efficient. You lose some mining potential, I guess, in the end. It's not a big deal. It may not even matter here, but it is interesting. So, Dark is just about to finish up 2-2. He's got a scary-looking army. I think it's about time that Dark commits to the other side of the map. Yeah. He gets a peek over here, too. He sees what he's going up against. He's got a great surround potential here as well. Only 2 siege tanks, by the way. These are the only tanks. 2 tanks right over here next to that orbital command. Dark's probably making the assumption that this is a 3rd command center. Not the case. This is still a 2cc all-in, but he is going to try and collapse on top of this. Love that. Siege tanks over here at the front in a world of trouble. They immediately get cleaned up. Couple Biles connect right there with the roaches, which is pretty suboptimal to say the least. But SCVs are falling left, right, and center. And this, I think this series has been concluded. This has got to be one of the lowest high-level games that I've casted this entire year. Like, this series is going to be one of the lowest high-level series I've casted all year. But that does not make it any less entertaining. I'm getting some viewer-submitted game vibes. You know what I mean? But then at, like, the absolute highest level of StarCraft. I think both of these players incredibly tired at this stage in the tournament, playing on the American server, trying their very best to show some good games. But ultimately, well, there can only be one winner. And that winner, it's Dark.